Seems loud.
Public land.
Have you two missed each other?
No, not that much. I talk to him every day, I think, when it's hunting season.
Turn the gain up so you wouldn't have to talk as loud.
Okay.
So you could act like there was that bull out there at 80 yards screaming his head off last night.
That was awesome.
Unbelievable.
That was so awesome.
The only guy I know that would fall asleep is from California.
I'm the only guy you know from California.
John's like, yeah, 7 o'clock. I'm going to go to bed, guys. I'm looking like I could not sleep to that. I see those.
I laid in bed for a while just so
see
you know
those
I didn't
little
like.
orange plugs in my little cup holder.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are called earplugs. I had to put them in last night because I couldn't sleep. Welcome to the RNA Outdoors podcast, fueled by Ripcord Arrow Rest and First Light Hunting Apparel. At RNA, we are public land DIY conservationists that love to share our passion for the outdoors. So join us and our team as we interview professionals in the industry to share insight knowledge that helps make hunters and anglers more successful. Hey listeners, subscribers, and fellow outdoorsmen and women. This is your host, Lucas Paw, and I'm excited to tell you about some of the sponsors that continue to help make this podcast not only happen, but grow and thrive in this digital world of audio content. This podcast is brought to you by Ripcord Arrow Rest, the bow hunter's #1 fall-away rest on the market. Ripcord is known for 100% full-time arrow containment in their patented drop-dead brake system that eliminates launcher bounce back. Best of all, Ripcord is backed by their rock-solid guarantee. If the original owner has a part break for any reason, it will be repaired or replaced at no charge. And did I mention? Ripcord is located in southwest Montana, where all their products are made with pride in America. Check them out at ripcordarrowrest.com and on their social media feeds. This podcast is brought to you by First Light Clothing and Hunting Apparel. Born in the Rockies in central Idaho, First Light's mission is to create simple, yet proven, versatile gear that provides comfort and performance in any situation while working to promote the pursuit of ethical hunting and stewardship. I recently joined the First Light Pro Staff team and have continued to be impressed year after year in their innovations in engineering of merino wool fabrics. 10 years ago, they started putting out wool fabrics with camo patterns, and immediately this changed the game. Since then, they offer multiple layering systems and kits in various proprietary patterns and continue to raise the bar with their competition. Find them online at firstlight.com or under their social media feeds. Go farther, stay longer. All right, welcome listeners. This is the RNA Outdoors, and we are coming to you on location here in New Mexico. It is September 15th, opening day of the second season here in New Mexico, and pretty excited, one, to be here, and also, B, to share it with two of my good friends who have traveled quite a long ways to come down and try to help me find a good bull here in New Mexico and make it happen. So we've got Mr. Ben Miller, now Colorado Springs native.
Yeah, native of Colorado Springs.
Born in Michigan, transplanted to Montana and Dillon, and now migrated to Colorado Springs.
Well, I thought living in a small city my whole life, there had to be something better out there.
Yeah.
So I thought, why not try a town with about just over 500,000 people?
There you go. Which is right up your alley. I know how much you like people, so.
Yeah. And now when I go hunting, my wife sends me a picture of deer in the backyard that are laying down, and I'm on the side of the hill trying to find an elk. The temperature's about 20 degrees warmer, and
yep.
there's 20 times more hunters. So I got what I asked for, I guess, and moved to the big city.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you here. And on my right is the Italian stallion himself, martial arts extraordinaire, and trad blow enthusiast, Mr. John Spezzano. Welcome to your first podcast, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So John flew into Salt Lake, and I picked him up on Thursday on our way. Wednesday, it was Thursday, on our way through down here to New Mexico, and I've been kind of helping John. John reached out to me a couple years ago through also another friend of the podcast, Mr. Ron Jones, and as we've just kind of got to know each other over the years, we've connected a few times, and have taken you out and showed you a couple things. I'm not sure I've showed you much at all, other than how to wander around in the woods and find game.
Lots for sure.
But you've definitely taken it to heart, and you've been doing a lot of instruction and shooting every day and reading and just doing as much as you can to try to better yourself.
It's tough when you live in the city, when there isn't an archery shop around the corner.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the best I can.
And we didn't say where John's from, but
let's not.
Yeah.
Better not.
Probably better not to, right, Ben?
Just concrete jungle. You said 500,000 people, and
that's like
we'll
my block.
We'll just leave it at that. So anyway, so we're here in New Mexico and had kind of a fun morning, right? Yesterday we connected, and I wouldn't be right if we didn't talk a little bit about who we were hanging out with yesterday and the day before.
Pretty great.
I've been in communication with Randy Newberg, who also drew the same tag as me in the same unit, which will remain undisclosed at this point. But Randy had the first season tag, and him and I had been talking quite a bit, and we were actually able to connect with Randy on Thursday evening, which they had been hunting here for, I think, almost 8 or 9 days. And then yesterday we were able to go out and spot some elk for him and his uncle, who he's hunting with. And I guess they were able to get in pretty close and get in about 20 yards. And Uncle Jim was able to draw back. First time he's drew back on a bull elk, and didn't get a shot. But it was neat to share camp with Randy, and also we went to breakfast with them, and we were pulling out maps and just, listening to stories and just all the insight and stuff that guy's got in his brain.
He's got a few stories.
Yeah, it was neat. And then Ben showed up. Ben got to meet the crew and see all the gear laid out in the 4 llamas. And
yeah, I woke up extra early just so I could get a chance to shake Randy's hand and all he's done for us outdoorsmen. I was not going to miss that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I got to watch the llama fight.
Yeah, the llamas.
Everything else.
Get loaded in the back of the trailer. That was pretty comical.
Missed the morning hunt, but
saw your shirt there, public landowner. Randy's a big proponent of that. So. Yep. So we got to spend part of the day with Randy, and then we connected, and we found a nice place to camp last night, and were able to kind of slip into an area, and actually got into some elk last night, which was actually kind of fun. John,
it was amazing for me because I've never been within earshot of a actual live bugle.
Yeah.
So that was really amazing.
Yeah, that was. I tell you, anytime, whether it's early season, late season, anytime that you're in the forest and you're either hearing elk, seeing elk, there's never a bad day where you're in the elk woods trying to get after elk. And we found a cool place to camp, and we picked up a few of the trail cameras that we had set previously in July, and we said, well, let's go out and take a little walk. So we went out and took a little walk, and by golly,
what do you know?
We heard turkeys flocking their wings, and we heard elk, and we saw elk.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think John kind of understated the bugles he heard last night because I was adding up the years. I'm at 20 now, maybe 21 of bow hunting, and about 20 years ago was the last time I heard that many bulls screaming. And back then I had to get home though because I had curfew and football practice. But it's kind of neat.
We were actually just going into an area that we had been scouting previously and knew that it held elk, and we saw a small little, maybe 4 or 5 point raghorn and a couple cows, and all of a sudden we just started to hear the forest light up, and so we all agreed, like, let's just try to back out of here and not blow this thing. So we start walking out and push a bull off to our right that had come in to probably about 40 or 50 yards, and we got back to camp, and we could hear this one just screaming his brains out. Well, as luck would have it, we're basically parked and camped in an area where that bull decided he was going to do some breeding last night. So, we were extra quiet. We couldn't even really cook or eat anything last night because we literally had, a bull probably out to 50, 60 yards, just
probably
out there screaming his guts out.
Really close.
We'll have to get a picture of that for this podcast,
Yeah,
just to have where the truck was and
Right.
where that elk was. It was incredible.
It was interesting though because he was getting after it. You could hear him glunking, and that's a sound that you rarely ever hear. Right, it's that sound when they're in the process of getting ready to breed. It's hard to explain. It's almost like if you take a bottle of like water and turn it upside down, and it makes that bubbly sound. It kind of sounds like that, but they're licking the air. They're after females that are hot and estrus, and that's the sound they make. And I've probably heard that a handful of times in the elk woods, right?
Man, not very often.
And we were sitting here, and that's about all you could hear between bugles was him glunking.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we came. Lucas had some smoked tuna for us, and I was excited for dinner, and we couldn't even. It was a black camp, and it was just incredible.
It was awesome.
Being right where the elk were.
Yeah.
Literally.
And then he was bugling to another bull that came coming over the top of the ridge that was probably within 100 yards of our camp. And he sounded like a good bull too. None of the bugles I've heard are bulls that I would not want to at least take a look at and see, what does that bull look like?
Right.
You don't always judge them by their bugle, but some of them, when you hear the bugle, you're like, yeah, I need to lay some eyes on that
I
animal.
need to confirm this.
Yeah, I need to see that. So, and then this morning we got up and I think we all slept pretty well. We kind of did a similar routine. We just heard 3 or 4 bulls bugling, and we did push a few elk first thing in the morning, knowing they were close, but didn't know they were that close. And what's interesting here is the weather is so warm that by about 7:30, those elk are just done bugling, and they're already in their beds or close to their beds, and it makes it tough because it's hard to go after an elk you can't see, But so we chased some bulls first thing this morning and sat up on the ridge for a while, didn't hear any bugles, and decided to come back to camp, and here we are.
Finally got that dinner in us
for
lunch today.
Yeah, had a little dinner lunch, but so maybe we'll take it back a little bit though, and I can talk a little bit about kind of my relationship with John and Ben, and kind of how we've all met and kind of how we've gotten here today. Ben and I have been elk hunting for quite a few years now, and have been friends and friends of friends and family, brothers, and Ben's sister, and went to school with my brother. So we've all kind of had a connection over the years, but always seems like when elk season comes around, you and I figure out a way to get together.
Yeah.
Whether it's Montana or here in New Mexico.
Yeah, keep in contact through the year and all the expeditions you're going on, and I try to keep you in tune with what I'm doing, scouting, looking for horns and everything else. And then seems like about August 15th, we talk to each other every day, or every 2 days.
Closing in.
Yep.
Trying to figure out. This year was neat. August 15th.
Yeah, August 15th.
We met up down here, set some trail cameras. He came over from that other state, and then I drove down and met up with
our buddy Jimbo.
Another guy that lives in the area, Jimbo Gonzalez, and we just basically did some scouting in a new area we've never been to. And we just had a great time for 3 days, and here we are in September, and our scouting paid off.
Officially in elk camp. Officially able to fling arrows this time. Not just look at them.
Yeah.
Not just listen.
Yeah, I'm excited for the next 5 days out here, and happy to have John in camp, getting to know him.
You've recently transplanted over to Colorado, so you're kind of figuring out some new hunting access over there, huh?
Yeah, we're got finding people to hunt with is always the hardest part, but I think I got a guy dialed down there, and we're learning new areas.
He's a bow hunter also?
He is, yeah. He's a big bow hunter. He just moved into Colorado as well, so we're kind of learning together, and finding out that there's a lot of hunters out there. There is some elk to be had. Obviously, it's been warm there this year, but that's not an excuse. They don't disappear. You just got to go find them.
Yeah.
But when they're silent, it's harder to find them before they see you coming or hear you coming. So
Yeah. No,
we've kind of bagged it for the week or maybe even the season. Just because, I'm down here and season ends up there end of September.
So you'll have another maybe week or weekend to get out and try to push some elk around.
Yeah.
The thing about Colorado is, though, I mean, any given weekend you could have a rainstorm down in 5,000 feet, and you could have snow pushing in at 9,000 feet, and it's really easy to be at 11,000 feet hunting elk in Colorado. So one storm could be the difference, you know, at one time.
Yeah, and talking to people around work and stuff, everyone travels quite a ways from Colorado Springs, but the guys that actually been staying right there are the ones actually getting into the most elk. So
sure.
And we got Pikes Peak, which is 14,000, so there is a little elevation there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a learning curve. So
cool. Always cool to move to new places, hunt new places, see new things. I've hunted Colorado quite a few times. I never hunted that part of Colorado, but know of a lot of people that do and are very successful in that area. So,
well, Colorado's supposed to have the largest herd, right?
Yeah. Largest population elk is in Colorado. Is it 400,000 elk?
I thought it was 190,000. Then I heard 270,000.
Yeah.
It's 100,000 more than the next state, and I'm still trying to figure out where the heck they are.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, they're out there.
They're out there.
Problem is, they're on all that private property and all those units you have to draw tags in. So,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Spezzano.
Yes, sir.
First podcast.
Yeah, glad to be here.
You've been very patient and trying to kind of learn the ways of all this outdoor.
It's tough, man. It's
hunting.
Tough to be patient.
Yeah.
Time's a wasting.
Yeah. You kind of come at it a little differently. You've been an outdoors guy, and you've obviously hunted in your life. You said your brother's hunted, but you've kind of taken it more to a different level here recently in the last couple of years. And you talk about it. You're like, I'm trying to play catch up because I'm midlife now.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have done this like 20 years ago. Right?
30.
Yeah, 30 years ago or longer.
Yeah.
But is it? Are you finding it enjoying that you're kind of taking up this new passion and hobby?
Oh yeah, I love it. I love getting out in the woods. I love the bow. I shoot a trad bow, so it's a bit different. It's a lot of practice for me.
Sure.
I'm not a natural archer. Some guys are just naturally gifted in whatever undertaking they might try, and I'm not.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It's been a lot of work. Certainly equal parts frustrating as exciting. But a couple of years ago, I got turned on to this guy Tom Klum out of Denver, outside Denver, and he's really helped me a lot. His coaching has really helped me a lot.
And when you were kind of going down this path, I mean, clearly you can take a couple directions. I can be a rifle hunter, I can be a compound guy, or I can basically take it to the farthest end of the spectrum and being a trad guy, where it's, you could argue is probably one of the most challenging, ways to harvest an animal. What attracted you to the trad bow versus any other method to take?
I think the simplicity of the weaponry is really fascinating to me, and I'm not like a self bow guy, where I'm taking a piece of Osage and making a bow with some deer gut or something. Like I'm not that traditional, or I'm not that primitive.
Yeah.
So my bow has fiberglass backs, and it's relatively fast. I mean, not compared to a compound, but relatively fast for a trad bow, and but still in the end, it's just simple. It's a stick and a string and another stick with a point on it. And I like that. But
that's the part that I find interesting when you come up and visit and I just hold your bow. It's like,
where's the rest
there's
of
no
it?
sight.
Right.
There's no
the
rest
rest of it?
It's like, where's the cam? Where's the serving? No, it doesn't have any of that. It's basically
Well,
a
we
piece
got a
of wood.
serving.
Yeah, it does have
That's
serving. That's true.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's so simple.
Yeah,
And
it
which
is.
is the part I think that's most attracted to me, is that it is so simple. Like, if something happens to it, you probably know how to fix it because it's not very technical.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
ironically, the simplicity of it is what makes it so hard to shoot consistently, because there are no pins and there are no cams and there's none of that stuff. So it makes the actual shooting consistency harder because it's a simpler tool, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so you and I have been getting out in the woods a little bit.
Yeah, it's
this
been awesome.
Fall or this spring turkey season.
Went for turkeys.
Opening day.
Totally blew it.
Took you out, and it was pretty hilarious. We were
totally blew it.
Just a little public strip of land that holds actually some pretty good turkeys.
Yeah.
And we were able to gobble in
well, by we, you mean you.
Well,
you did all the work, got him in close, and then I just sat there.
It was a lot of fun because I was sitting there watching, and we got this probably 3 to 4 year old gobbler coming in. He's probably got an 8 to 10 inch beard, and I'm just sitting there just doing some soft yelps, and I got decoys set up, and he's pushing his hens through. So I'm looking at John, and John's probably, I would say, 40, 50 yards behind this little bush. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, I'll get ready, and I'm videoing. All of a sudden, he just comes strutting in, poofed out, and he's going around the decoys. So I'm sitting there videoing.
Waiting for my arrow to go through him.
And I'm looking at John, and John's sitting there knelt, and he's left-handed.
Just like, what the?
So he's pinned behind this piece of sage, and I'm literally sitting there with the video camera, and I'm going like this, like, for those of you that can't see it, but I'm actually like, pull your bow back and shoot this damn thing. And
it was one of those cases of not doing enough animal behavior research, because I watched this turkey. I was like, what the hell is he doing? And I just watched for so long.
Puffed up, and he's fanned out, and he's just strutting around.
Oh,
he's
my God. He could have killed him 5 times.
He's got his hens there, and John just didn't, like I said, he didn't understand or know the behavior of the turkeys. Which
and I also hadn't practiced shooting from a kneeling position, so
Yeah.
it was like a double whammy. And it's a small target. I mean, it wasn't that far away, but it is a small target.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I went home after that trip and practiced, shooting my bow kneeling. I was like, oh, it's easier shooting it kneeling than standing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, it was
So
a lot. It was a lot of fun.
learned.
So so he blew off, and then actually called him back again, and then those hens came up to you probably at about like
she saw
3 or
me.
4 yards.
Yeah.
And
she was like,
they busted.
yeah.
But it was like your first close encounter.
Yeah, it was fun.
A turkey is even a turkey is something that you look at it and you're like, oh, it's a turkey, but it gets your heart racing.
It was fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It gets you going.
When all you've done is either bought food at the store or seen hunting shows or seen, gone to the zoo. I don't know. When that's all you've ever done, seeing it live in person 15 yards away is, pretty amazing no matter what the species is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so then you and I kind of got connected again, and we started hunting pigs.
Yeah.
Took you out to a property, and, we hunted there and weren't really successful, and then we got onto another piece of property, and we're able to get you. It's kind of been a stage thing with you. It's
Total
been
baby steps.
It's been shooting your bow, and then it was getting you close to the turkey, and then with the whole pig thing, of course that's getting really close. And here, about a month ago when he came up,
Yeah, it was about a month. Yeah,
we got you pretty close.
Got really close. Close enough for me. I just
you let an arrow go.
I just blew the shot a little high. Yeah, but
Yep.
but it was awesome letting the arrow go. It was awesome being that close.
Yeah.
I mean, even just sitting on that watering hole for that long. I mean, we saw a doe and her fawn come in. They never saw us. We saw this little fox go by, and he was kind of like, what is that over there? Kind of saw us and wasn't sure. The coyote went by about 30 yards away.
Yeah.
Tons of stuff just going by while we're sitting there. It was great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So we've now got to the point where it's time.
It's time to put an arrow through something.
Yeah. So the rest of the year, do you have any plans? Additional, you and I are going to get out and try to chase some more pigs. Maybe
it would be
once
great.
or twice this year.
It would be great to try to chase pigs again once or twice this year, depending on how our schedules link up.
Yep.
I'm definitely going to be going to the Pacific Northwest to go for black-tailed deer. Probably first in Oregon with a friend up there, and then later in November on a friend's property in Washington.
Okay.
So my friend in Oregon is a very experienced trad bow guy, and he's black-tail nut, so he knows just how to do it, and he's going to teach me a lot about how to hunt them, and especially with the trad bow. I think he's a longbow guy too. Actually, I don't think he's a recurve. I think he's a longbow guy. And then hopefully by that point, maybe we'll have some success in Oregon, and I'll be able to go up to Washington with some more confidence that I can do it alone. Because right now, when we go for pigs, I'm fully dependent on you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm shooting the bow, but you're finding the spot, and you're doing all the hard work.
Yeah, but that's a part of it. I mean, it is baby steps, but if you have someone there to help you and show you how to do it, you can learn so much quicker than I think of a lot of guys that have come to me and say, "Man, how do
how do you kill a bull elk? And it's like, well, it's a lot of years of hunting elk, right? Rifle, archery, whatever. I mean, every season their behaviors are different, but you got to understand the animal, right? You just got to know their tendencies. You got to know what they do. You got to hunt them. And most people just don't go in, buy a bow off the shelf, and go in and just shoot an elk their first season. It happens. We hear stories of people happening,
right.
But generally they say statistically it's about 10%
right.
of the population actually harvest an elk. So it'll take you.
Is that 10% of the population or 10% of the hunters that go out?
10% of the hunters based on that population. So, if there's 1,000 tags, essentially, 100 people are going to
be successful.
Be successful. And that's just general averages across the states. But, 1 out of 10 people are going to kill an elk. So it's
the greatest odds.
No, it's not the greatest odds.
Especially for the beginner.
Yeah. Who's shooting a longbow?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a progression, and I think the more you get out, like you're doing, you're getting away as much as you can within reason. You have a life, you have a business, and a family, so that obviously is important. But the more opportunities you can get out and get in the outdoors, and just study animals, see what they do, see their behavior. I mean that's how you're gonna have those close encounters. Eventually, it's gonna happen for you.
That's why I was so excited to come out here and spend a few days with you. I was hoping to spend more time, but at least just a few days is going to be great. I mean, even just last night, hearing all those bulls bugling was just awesome.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, there's a lot of animals you can hunt, but there's really nothing like hunting in September. I mean, to me, it's, and being in the Rockies with an elk tag in your pocket, chasing elk there's just no other animal that, I mean, deer grunt and bleat, when they have their breeding season, and like red stags roar, which is kind of cool. But there's just nothing like an elk just bugling down a canyon that just carries all the way down the canyon. That I mean, every time it sends
it's cool.
a shockwave down your back. You're just like, man, I love
every
that.
time.
That's
Never
really
got
cool.
old.
Never gets old.
Never does. Days are warm. Nights are cool. It's just perfect. Everything's
Yeah, so we're like I say, we're here on day one, and it's a 10-day season. So I'm hopeful that these guys can be here with me when we harvest. We've got a pretty good plan for this evening. We think if we put the elk to bed where we think they went, and our tactic here isn't to go in and get on them at 10 o'clock or midday and try to cow call them out of their bed. I just think it's too warm. They're not talking. I think the best strategy is to try to get them in the evening or in the morning when they're moving off water, moving off feed, and just try to get one close, and hopefully if we can pull one in, it's a good bull, right?
Yeah, we got to pull the right one in this morning. We learned in a hurry that we had till 7:07, I think, was the last bugle.
Yeah.
And it was daylight at 6:20-ish, 6:24.
Yeah. Shooting
And
light, so our window's narrow.
It's gotta happen quick. And then that bull started coming out of the canyon 6 o'clock, 6:45 last night. So short windows.
Which is probably more promising, right? Because I think the evening window might be longer.
If we get in the right canyon,
if we're in there and close to them, we start popping a few cow calls, that could get him there real quick.
Yeah.
Versus him taking his leisure and coming down and maybe pushing a few cows. I would have thought we would have heard some cow mews last night, which we didn't, but it doesn't mean there wasn't any cows there, because he was definitely moving around. But I think it's September 15th. And we're on about day 8 or 9 up until a full moon. I think we're at like a almost half crescent right now. So it's from a logistical standpoint and anatomical standpoint. I mean, it's the best time to be out, in the field right now. And hope is that these dates line up with a good rut. Yeah. That's just the hope. But after what we've heard, from Randy's standpoint, when we talked to him, they just didn't hardly hear any bugles. They didn't see much at all, and they were really struggling, for the first part.
Anything, they said, for the first how long?
Yeah, the first 7 days they said they didn't see a legal bull on public land. So, in most of the areas that Randy and I were scouting were similar. I mean, we were basically in the very similar areas, which made me feel good that I was looking in the right areas when we kind of compared notes. But I was kind of bummed that they weren't able to connect on an elk, but sounded like they had a good experience. And, like I said, Randy's uncle Jim had never hunted elk with a bow before, and that was one of his dreams.
Seeing that smile on his face was pretty great.
Yeah, he was pretty grateful for that. So, which is what it's all about, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's not always about the harvest, but that's definitely, in my opinion, what I call the gravy on top is when you can put some elk meat in the freezer and feed somebody for a whole year. So, anyway, what else, guys?
Oh, I was going to mention he just relies on you to do all the scouting and stuff. And when you get old like us and have done it for a while, so that's really an enjoyable part of the hunting trip. You'll learn that.
Turning people onto it.
Well, no, going to Washington and you'll be scouting, doing some looking on Google Earth and figuring out some points and figuring out where you need to put your apples for your deer.
Right.
But it is Washington, so they probably got plenty of them up there.
Washington apples.
No, the scheming is also part of the fun of this hunting sport too.
Yeah.
So,
well, when you draw some of these tags, it only does justice for you to spend time, because you think about the investment you put in, getting here, obviously the cost of the license and the tag, the food, just everything that it takes into consideration to do these trips, time away from work, time away from family. So, you definitely want to put in, some time and effort to make sure that you've at least stacked the chips to the farthest
in your favor
level in your favor as you can, versus just kind of coming in blind. That was part of the reason why Ben and I made a trip out here about a month ago, just to see the landscape and this canyon we're in right now. Him and I saw it. We were like, man, we got to come back here.
Right.
And sure enough, I mean, we're sitting here now, and like I say, last night there were 2 or 3 good bulls, and this morning there was at least 4 different bulls, screaming their guts out in this canyon. So
it was a good choice.
it was
one of a few we have in our back pocket. We hope.
If or when you come to New Mexico elk hunting, you will be impressed. And for some reason, some of the little canyons don't hold elk, and some are covered with them, like the one we found.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I've elk hunted in quite a few states, but I've never elk hunted in New Mexico, and it's this landscape is incredible.
It's stunning.
I mean, to be in a place in September where you couldn't even light a match and anything would light on fire. I mean, everything is so green and lush here.
Yeah.
Water, it's just beautiful. And, the pinyon juniper, there's a lot of park meadowy areas where you have visibility, you can see, you can glass. I mean, it's just, it's an unbelievable state to hunt in. And like I said, I've hunted in Arizona, hunted Colorado, Montana, Idaho, and never hunted New Mexico, and very impressed with like I say, the topography and the landscape here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, someone will call me or something if they draw a tag, or hopefully I'll draw a tag.
Yeah, I might have to start applying here.
Get to call Lucas and have him come help me out, or Jimbo just down the road.
Yeah. No, this is obviously a beautiful area, a great place, and I'm not sure there'd be anywhere else I'd rather be. I don't, definitely not at work. I think this definitely trumps work.
I think we're all in agreement on that.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, we've been rambling for about 30 minutes. We got to do a little reconnaissance this afternoon, and then maybe take a little nap or a siesta, and then put our game plan together. So anyway, I know from my standpoint, I've told you guys this, but I appreciate having you guys here, and
love it.
Appreciate you guys helping me out.
Absolutely.
I can do this stuff by myself, but it sure makes it a lot funner when I got someone here to enjoy the moment with.
Oh, yeah. Show off all the toys you bought over the last year.
Oh, yeah.
For hunting camp.
A couple things over the last year. Some stuff is a little old, but yeah, the old truck, she's still doing all right.
The truck is awesome.
Get washed here in about another 4 months when hunting season's over. So.
Yeah, it's good being in camp with you as always. Sorry I missed you in Montana, but hopefully we can get her done here in the next week and have good stories for next year.
Yep, absolutely. John, thanks again.
Thank you, sir.
Great being here.
Glad to be here.
Intro podcast. Inaugural podcast.
Inaugural, yeah.
Cool. Well, great, guys. We're going to sign off here from New Mexico. Hopefully next time we talk, if we do in the next day or so, hopefully we'll have some elk antlers on top of the truck and meat hanging. So
yeah.
The one that kept me awake all last night.
I just want to see him. It's like, I just want to see him. And it's like, okay, yeah. Because you hear him and you're like, I want to go see that. But then sometimes you see it and you're like, yeah, okay, that's not the one I'm looking for.
I'm not that guy.
Yeah. But
like I said, one day I'll be as picky as you.
Yeah. Well, You'll get to that point.
Yeah.
Maybe you will. Some people don't. But
And to clarify, this is a hunt that it's not quite a meat hunt. It's more of you do look for nicer
and I mean,
sized racks.
Yeah.
And in a unit like this, it's a limited entry draw, so you're going to be a little picky to start, and then as the season winds on, if something walks out that looks appetizing, it's probably going to eat an arrow. But for the first 3 to 4 days, I'm definitely going to pick over a lot of elk and try to find something that trips my trigger, because you just never know. Tags like this, you could never draw them again in your life, or you could draw it 5 more times in your life. You just don't know. New Mexico doesn't have a point system, so it makes it tough for non-residents to draw tags here. But I got lucky, and I was fortunate. They pulled my name, and we're here. So
nothing wrong with a little luck.
No, got to have some of that on our side. Hopefully, we'll have some on our side tonight. So
give it our best effort and see where it ends up.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, we're going to sign off from elk camp here in New Mexico. Thanks, John. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, you,
Lucas.
All right, guys. Talk to you later, and we'll catch you guys for another adventure on the RNA Outdoors podcast.
Hey everyone, this is Lucas Paw, host of the RNA Outdoors podcast. Please check out Podbean and iTunes. If you have an iPhone or iPad, go to the podcast app on your device, search for RNA Outdoors, and hit the purple subscribe button. When doing this, it will automatically upload when new podcasts are loaded, and they will download into your queue. For Android users, you can access the podcast through Podbean, Stitcher, or use our website, www.rnaoutdoors.com/podcast. In addition, under the RNA Outdoors podcast channel, please leave a review and a 5-star rating. These reviews help boost our popularity and outreach. You can also follow us on our social media outlets, Twitter at RNA Outdoors, Facebook, RNA Outdoors, and Instagram, Rod and Arrow Outdoors. All links are in the show notes as well. If you like what you've heard, we hope you'll pass along our channel to your friends and colleagues. Keep up the good fight. We cannot sit by and watch the public lands devoted to wildlife protection wither away. There's simply too much at stake. Make your voice heard, speak up, and get involved with conservation efforts, and know that every little bit helps. As we say on the mountain, go farther, stay longer.